Welcome, everybody. Oh,
Wait a
wonderful.
minute more.
Because this is going to be a very emotional one. And I can't wait for it. Okay, be prepared, because this is going to be different and emotional. What happened was this. But first, let me just show you what John sent me. As I said, it came in a huge box, but it's got thingamajigs. I didn't open it yet, but I have to show you, because it's a miracle. He watched the way I tried to open a thing. And
Can I help?
wait, look at this now. Okay? Like with toothpaste. But now I can afford not to cry when I try to open a tube. You put the slot in there and it opens. John, thank you. It's a miracle.
John says, so glad to hear that. Sorry about the packaging. They charged more to ship them than the little keys cost. So
Yes.
clearly they spent the money well.
Thank you. Okay. John, and the white that I'm going to squeeze out comes because it came out so easily with that. Okay. I decided to do something different in this painting, remembering what Eric said. I needed to be a painting that shows that we're worth living. We're not what the newspapers say we are. Everybody in here is special. And I have people in my family who died. And how could I not put them in? And so I began with the photograph I have of Eric and his mother way before concentration camp. Way before we knew that Eric would be put into the first concentration camp at age 16, and that his mother would be killed there. And we don't know what the world is. We tend to see only what affects us deeply. And I didn't know how to put Eric and his mother in. And then I did. First of all, Kenny, who does this program with me, meditates. But he doesn't meditate in words. He meditates inside of himself as well. And he spoke about some of the experiences that came out of it. And I decided when I first put Eric and his mother here that I was going to meditate on them, not on what I'm doing, not on the shape, not on the color, but on them. And I'd like you to come here, Kenny, could you? Because I'm going to be painting on it. Could you point to it?
Yes.
I'm going to be painting on today as I speak, but not the faces, because something happened when I worked on the faces today. Remember, it's not finished. It'll take weeks before it's finished, because in order to put the eyes in, I had to wait 3 days until the face was dry enough. And they're still not there. But I did the faces quietly, and I meditated as I did them. And when I saw Eric's mother holding her hands on his shoulders, I started to think she didn't know the future. She didn't know about the concentration camps and that she would be killed there. But she didn't know that he needed protecting. And as I did the fingers, which are not finished, but you will see every week, because I cannot touch them right now because they're wet. But I was thinking, the hostages cannot hold their family. Their family cannot hold them. Any of us could be held hostage at some time in the world. Why are we allowing this? And it led me into the entire thing of who we are. The very fact that hostages are a necessary part of war. And yet, we continue killing each other. And it was very emotional for me because of her fingers and the way she's holding them. So as I'm going to paint what I can paint publicly, because it doesn't affect me that way, is Eric's feet and shoes. And what I did to change, the dog was on this side in the photograph, but the dog was an important part of his life, and I couldn't squeeze him in, and I couldn't put him in front either. So this is going to be the dog, okay? So let me now do what I can do without thinking of the hostage crisis and of who we are, that the first thing we do in war is to kidnap children. And what we in our country did when people tried to escape the hell that they're escaping at the border, we first took the children away from the parents and separated them. So who are we when we wage war? Okay, I have everything prepared, and you can watch me paint, but I would like you to remember who we allow ourselves to be, and that we allow our government, who we vote for, to not help when there are hostages being taken. Okay? Now, because my hand trembles, I learned how to paint without it mattering. Okay? First thing I'm going to do, Kenny, could I have the picture again?
Yes.
Thank you, because doing Eric's feet is not emotional. The faces I could not do with you. Okay? In those days, boys wore dark clothing. And I needed to be realistic, but I couldn't put a red shirt or anything on a little boy about 90 years ago. Okay? So let me give him first of all, look at the knees. The knees are crumpled. They're not smooth. So I'll use a little bit of black, but I should also use brown because I want the painting to be beautiful. And black is not going to show. I can imagine Eric at that time. First, let's have the shadows. Okay? And the wrinkled socks. And Eric, whatever world you're in, we remember the people we lost. Are painting them because I learned that from another miracle that happened through Facebook. Over here is my friend, and I got permission to talk about it, Kinha, whose brother was killed on the Lower East Side as refugees. And what she wrote to me when I put her there, she said, now I'm so grateful that when I think of him, not as a dead body who was killed, but I can think of him, that he's with Eric, and that Eric has a dog, and they will protect my brother Larry. And I thought to myself, is this what she believes? And I called her, I said, Kinha, do you really believe that Eric and the dog can protect him? And she said yes. And so I thought to myself, since my granddaughter Jessie, when I said to her, how do you see the world, Jessie? She said, nothing dies. Things just change. They change their shape. And I thought by myself, how did Eric change when he passed away? How did my parents and my brother Richie change? And the thought came, I carry them. I carry them. As long as I carry them, they exist. And why don't I carry people whom I don't like? Because I don't need them in my life. But the people I need in my life, what if I paint them and make them real that way? And I think the only invention that heals in our world of killing and hostages is the camera. Because I have this photograph of Eric's mother, who was killed in the concentration camp. And Eric, who died a peaceful death in his own bed with me next to him. Let them be alive, because I carry them. And someday, if the hostages are released, I would like to draw them. And as Eric had said, Hedy, don't put anybody into a painting unless they give you a story of how they see themselves, not how the world sees them, but how they see themselves. And I would like to do that with this painting. Anybody who is in it, I would like a story for the future of who they are. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm doing the background because I won't touch these faces publicly, because this is going to be my brother Richie, my father, and me, and my mother. It is a photograph that somebody took of us when we escaped Vienna. Because if not for Colón and the Republic of Panama, I would not have escaped, because America didn't let us in. So those of you who are watching me do this, especially those of you whom I painted, aren't you glad that America, when it didn't let us in, allowed Panama to take us? How many people are we losing because America closes doors? Do you see what I'm doing?
Tell.
I'm having a wonderful time, because you can do feet without emotion. But I cannot do the hands without meditating. I'm not meditating at all now. I'm just having a wonderful time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Knowing what people looked like in those days, no way could my mother-in-law, Anna, have shoes with high heels. She would have black shoes and stand very ladylike. I did not have her clothes be black because they look black in the photograph. But on the other hand, I want this painting to be glorious. And so, her dress has reddish brown in it. And one foot would be a little lower, because so is her shoulder. Okay? Now let me show you fun. I will not touch their hands. First of all, I couldn't, because they are wet from today, but I want to give her life. In spite of the Nazis who killed her, I'm going to put some light into her clothes. But I would like you, when you see her hands, when they're going to be finished, to remember that the hostages that Hamas took are still there. And we are having huge problems in our government. As we take hostages on the border. Yeah, now I can give her some life. Because as a matter of fact, Eric's mother was a nurse, and Kenny will show you the book that I have here, because we decided, both of us, that we needed to write about the people who died in the Holocaust, like Eric's mother. And we decided to do a series of drawings of people who have been taken care of by others, which are people with handicaps. And, let me do this. Let me give her some joy in her clothing. I won't overdo, but let the clothing have some touches of red. Because if Kinha is right about Eric protecting her brother who was killed by putting him into the painting, and that's real, then let me give her a happier dress. No, the dog. The dog was named Strollich, and which is a German word, and I don't really know exactly what that means, but Eric loved that dog. And I moved him over here. Let's do him and have fun, because I believe that he lived to a ripe old normal age before Hitler came. Because if a dog belonged to Jews, his life was not safe. But there was no Hitler at that time when he was pictured. So Strollich was a happy dog. Oh boy, this is fun. Do you notice from the photograph how nice the shadows are? Because they will allow me to have more fun. next week, the chances are that I will be all finished with the hands. But it all depends on the background. I decided that even though, since this is Eric, and since his children are my children, Joni and Kenny, and they're here, thank goodness they could pose. And so I said, I'm going to put the kids here. Maybe with a bicycle, because I don't want too many ups and downs. And Joni said something and said, Mom, you have to be in the painting. And I said, no, I don't. And she says, Mom, wait till I tell Kenny. There's no choice. And so, this is the first time Kenny heard of that. But it is possible that they'll insist. And Kenny just showed me that it's nearly time to stop.
But there are some comments that I would love to read.
I'd love that.
Okay, let's see. John Terracuso says, you're welcome. Health to enjoy. And Eileen Bruno de Nobile is watching, if I pronounced that right. Denise Taylor is watching, and Denise says, hello, Hetty. Dina said, I can't believe how much Eric's eyes and smile returned. With his life with you, Kenny, Joni, Jesse, and Greg. You have a beautiful and uplifting spirit. I believe we are all here to hold you up when your heart is heavy. With much love, we have you in our embraces and in our arms.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for bringing us all together.
Thank you for being mine.
And
All of you.
Paula is watching, and Hernan is watching, and Marcia is watching. And Paula says, love you, Hetty and Kenny. And Marcia says, sorry I'm late. Hi, Hetty. And Hernan says, much love from Hernan and Christopher. And Phyllis says, hi, buddy. And Amy says, Hetty, with 5 hearts.
Thank you all.
Martha Bilski says, we are all silent and in awe. Julie says, we miss Eric so much.
Yes.
And adore that special photo with his mom.
Yes.
Love you, Eddie and Ken. And Amy says, great word. Hetty, both you and your painting are glorious. And Robin Lisa is watching and says, a little late, but better late than never. Dog is adorable. And Marcia Bart Isman said, your words, Hetty, your words as well as your art are such a gift. Love you. And Ed Weedman said, yes, Hetty, please, put yourself in the painting. And Robin said, put yourself in the painting.
I love you. See you next week. And remember the hostage crisis.